What's up, everybody? This is Colin from Hosted Heritage Homestead. I hope you're all well. What is homesteading? You might have heard someone say they want to start homesteading or they want to be a homesteader. Maybe you want to start homesteading. Well, if you want to start homesteading, you should know what homesteading is. Maybe you have a friend or a family member who wants to start to live the homesteading lifestyle, and you want to know what they are going to be up to. So I'm going to give you a vague general definition of what homesteading is. And if you look up what the definition of homesteading is, you're going to see different things. Obviously, definitions are not always the same. And I'm going to give you some historical context, perspective, background information. And I'm also going to talk to you about what the modern definition of homesteading is, or perhaps the modern connotation of what homesteading is. So, homesteading, historically speaking, is essentially if you have a home and some land and a small farming operation. That's the basic definition. Now, sometimes that means you have buildings on your land. Maybe you have a barn, a shop, whatever, some type of animal shelter or shelters. And it's typically associated with subsistence farming, where as opposed to large-scale farming where it's all about profit, subsistence farming is typically when a person is raising, or people are trying to raise enough food for their family and maybe have a little bit left over to barter or sell. Now, historically speaking, there's three groups you might want to think about when you think of the historical picture of what homesteaders, who they were, okay? One, pioneers, people that carved out an existence in the middle of nowhere, typically off-grid, and they built a home, a log cabin, a shelter of some sort, and then developed the land over time. Now, you have another group of people, homesteaders, which they might have acquired land through homesteading acts or homesteading laws. And those laws existed for a few different reasons, or a couple of different reasons. One, because the government or governments in power, wherever around the world, wanted people to settle a certain area, and they also might have, or they wanted people to produce food. They wanted them to start small-scale farming because the government wanted more food production. So they would incentivize people to get this land. It would be for free or for very cheap, or they'd have these dynamic deals where they would work the land for 5 years and then get it for cheap or get it for free after they did accomplish something, or they stuck to the land for a certain amount of time and then they would get that land for free or for cheap. So you have different types of people homesteading, okay? As far as the modern definition is arguably different than the historical definition. The connotation of the way the word is used now is essentially, if I were to summarize it for you, I would say a person or people who are chasing self-sufficiency. Now, there's different ways of doing that. Typically speaking, in modern day homesteading, what I would say would be when a person or people, typically a family, raises at least one type of livestock and does some type of gardening. That's what I think homesteading is. Now, if you're a vegetarian or a vegan, can you homestead and not raise the livestock? Absolutely. I'll accept that. I'll say that's homesteading. But it's about self-sufficiency. So if you're chasing self-sufficiency, it's whatever you and your family need. Whatever you eat, whatever you can barter, whatever you can sell. Like I said before, it's typically subsistence. Does that mean homesteaders don't produce more than they eat, more than they consume? Absolutely not. They frequently do, and they do frequently turn that into profit, turn that into other goods through bartering, whatever. There's absolutely, it's a life of abundance. It can be a life of abundance, and there's often more than people need, so they can turn that into other value or money, which is a medium of exchange. So modern homesteading has a preparedness component to it for many homesteaders. Many homesteaders like the idea of being more self-sufficient because it allows them to be more prepared for emergencies. Preppers, if you will, okay? Preppers. Now, that's a great thing because we are unapologetic preppers. We like the idea of having extra food and water around to take care of our family during possible tough times, ranging from job loss to SHTF scenarios. We could be called, people could call us Prepsteaders, okay? So homesteading, chasing self-sufficiency. Now, can you homestead in a suburban situation? Absolutely. Can you homestead in an urban situation? Absolutely. What I will recommend is stay away from HOAs. In my opinion, they're usually horrible, okay? We are big fans of, my wife and I are big fans of freedom. We like to be able to do what we want to do on our own property, as long as we're not hurting other people and we're not damaging the environment. We believe we should have the right to think about risk versus reward and do what we want to do on our own property. So that's not to knock any of you who belong to an HOA, who live in an HOA. I would encourage you to leave, because that's what I do on this channel, is I keep it real. I give you my opinions, all right? You're here to get my perspective, my opinions. I would say leave. Now, is it better typically to homestead in a rural environment? Yes, absolutely. The property laws are typically better as far as what you can build, what you can do. As far as what you can do with livestock, they're better. There's more freedom. And typically speaking, in rural areas, you can acquire land for cheap compared to cities, for example, or highly populated cities rather. Now, a lot of places, if you're talking about urban situations, there typically is little or no land available. But people are creative, they're resourceful. If I were to recommend, here's a tip for you: 3 great livestock choices for all people, whether you are urban, living in an urban situation, suburban, or rural. I would say chickens, that's my number 1 recommendation. I would say meat rabbits, probably my number 2 recommendation, possibly, I would say number 2. Not close to number 1, but it's a strong number 2. And number 3, I would say quail, okay? Those are 3 excellent options. And I will never encourage you to break laws, because you should always follow the laws and obey the laws, even though some laws are immoral. And you should be able to raise food for your family in a responsible, sustainable, ethical way to keep your family healthy and to save money and just be self-sufficient. However, obey the laws, folks. There's my disclaimer. I've heard of people raising meat rabbits and quail in their apartments, maybe in their garages, I'm just saying, people are smart. They're creative, and you could find ways to produce your own food. If you've got a windowsill or a deck, you live in a city, you got a window, you can make it happen. You can grow some food. But of course, follow your laws. I will say, definitely respect if you rent somewhere, if you rent a home, for example, respect your landlord, respect the people who own the home, who are renting to you, and just follow their rules. It is essentially their home, or it is their home. So show respect in that regard and don't do things that are immoral. As far as your own home, your own property, your own condo, you do what you think you should do. Follow the laws though. So homesteading is an awesome lifestyle. It's absolutely amazing. It is rewarding, and it is, I believe, sincerely the best way to live. It is the best way to live. It is so rewarding. There are countless benefits to homesteading, and it's a healthier lifestyle. Psychologically, physically, it's better. And it's really great to just watch God's creation, just to see how animals and plants grow and what they do, and it's really beautiful. It's really beautiful, and it's how people were designed to live. It matches the way our endocrine systems are designed, the way our natural circadian rhythms. It's a beautiful way to live, and I highly encourage you folks to start homesteading. And if you're not homesteading, well, subscribe to this channel. If you haven't already, you should have already done that. Subscribe to this channel so you can follow our journey. We can share some knowledge, hopefully some entertainment value, and we can grow together, folks, because it's a learning process, and the homesteading community is full of absolutely amazing, supportive, kind people that will teach you what they know, share their information, motivate you. It's a really phenomenal community to belong to. So I hope this clears up what homesteading is. Because, hey, you never know. You could have a child, or maybe your parents want to, or your cousins, or your friends, or your neighbors want to start homesteading. You want to know what they are going to be up to, like I said. And if you want to start homesteading, I want you to be motivated and know you don't have to go into an off-grid property. By the way, it doesn't have to be off-grid at all. Hello, how you doing? Electricity, it's nice. Although we do want an off-grid property because that's ideal for us, for what we want. You don't have to be off-grid and go into the wilderness and with your own hands build your own log cabin and forage everything you eat. That's not what it's about. It's about intentions, folks. It's about moving towards self-sufficiency and living a healthy, awesome lifestyle. All right? So now you have a better idea of what homesteading is, or maybe you already knew this stuff. Subscribe, follow along. Let's learn together. Let's grow together. Get involved in the comments below. Take care, everybody.